Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. Breaking news out of New York City. The NYPD confirms they're responding to reports of shots fired in Lower Manhattan. It's a chaotic scene not far from the World Trade Center right now, with a smashed pickup truck, mangled bicycles, what appears to be victims on a bike path along the West Side Highway. Police say one person is in custody. This is a developing news situation. It's breaking right now. We're trying to get all the details as we get them. Let's get right to CNN's Jason Carroll in New York. Jason, what more can you tell us about the incident?
Well, apparently, Jake, this started about 20 minutes or so ago. That's when we first started getting reports in from the NYPD that there were shots fired in that downtown area that you mentioned there, the area around Chambers Street and the West Side Highway, a very busy bike path, very busy running path, not far from the Freedom Tower, as well as the World Trade Center Memorial down there. Apparently, what we're hearing is there were shots fired. There is some video there of a truck that has appeared to have crashed near the scene. You can see one of the injured people there on the video being taken away. We received reports from the NYPD that one person is in custody with no others outstanding at this point. Also received a report from the NYPD that there were multiple people injured, but at this point, Jake, it's unclear about the extent of their injuries, what condition they're in at this point, but you just saw that video not too long ago of a man being sort of carted away. Once again, one person in custody, no others outstanding, reports of multiple people injured, still trying to get confirmation about how all of this started, what was the motivation for this. Down there at the scene, there's a school down there, a high school down there, a college down there. And once again, you can just see it right there, a very busy, what's normally busy, bike path and running path that's at that scene as well. The mayor has been notified about what's going on down there at the scene, and at this point, just trying to verify and get some more information for you. All
right, we've been bringing you live images from WABC, a CNN affiliate. And Jason, are there any indications as of now? And again, this is breaking news right now. We're just getting information in, but are there any indications of how many people might be injured?
Good question, Jake. What we've been told, multiple people injured at this point. Once again, multiple people injured, but once again, unclear in terms of the extent of their injuries, how they were injured. The reason why I say that is because, once again, the initial reports that came in from the NYPD were reports of shots fired down there at the scene, but it's unclear if those people were injured, how they were injured. For example, injured by gunfire, injured by perhaps a vehicle. Again, at this point, NYPD working to confirm that.
All right, Jason Carroll, continue to work your sources. We'll come back to you, but right now I want to go to CNN's Allison Kosik. She's in New York City. She joins me now by phone. Allison, tell us what you're seeing.
I am standing, Jake, at the corner of West Street and Warren Street in downtown Manhattan. We're pretty close to the 9/11 Memorial, even closer to the New York Stock Exchange, where I had to do a lot of reports from. I am looking at crime tapes surrounding a huge radius of the area. I'm seeing at least a half dozen ambulances, at least a dozen fire trucks as well. The street is really cordoned off. It's hard to see exactly what the crime scene looks like.
And Allison, have you gotten, I don't know if other people are getting the same tone that I'm getting in my ear right now, but Allison, are you?
I'm here.
Are you getting any witness accounts of what's going on?
The people at this point, we've also confirmed that as part of this investigation, which you've already mentioned to your viewers, is fluid. Authorities are looking into if this is a terrorism-related incident. Obviously, too early to tell, but it certainly has some of those factors that we all think about with this truck going the wrong way and then exiting with, again, what appeared to be a gun. Not sure if it was a real gun or a fake gun, but certainly that is now part of the investigation. Big news here, though, that there are a number of fatalities there on the scene on the West Side Highway here in New York City, Jake.
And if you're just joining us, you're looking at live images from CNN affiliate WCBS from Manhattan, where there has been an incident with an individual driving a truck. It looks like a white pickup truck the wrong way on a bike path near the West Side Highway. Bryn Gingras just reported that according to the NYPD, there are fatalities. But Bryn, just to reiterate, the driver was shot, but he is alive?
Yes, that's what I'm hearing. He is alive, is in police custody, and is being transported right now to the hospital. So I'm not clear on the extent of that person's injuries, but I do know that again, the fatalities did come from this person actually driving on the West Side Highway bike path and not from any gun. I also know, Jake, that no cops were injured in this incident either, so it does seem like the only shots that were fired was at this suspect.
And we're told that the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, and the governor of the state of New York, Andrew Cuomo, have both been briefed and are both heading towards the scene of this incident. Bryn, you said that police are looking at this potentially as a terrorist incident. We don't know, obviously, what it is. It could be any number of things. But we also know, having covered this now for the last several years, especially in Europe, that one way that terrorists have been told they can wreak havoc and kill people, they no longer have to try to use guns or knives. They no longer have to try to come up with elaborate schemes. They can just get a car or a truck and drive it into a crowd. That, unfortunately, is the new normal, and that one presumes would be one of the things that NYPD will be looking into.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what investigators know, of course, is what we have also been seeing. They know sort of the markers of what could be potential terrorism incidents, and so since they're hearing about this truck, which appears to be a rental truck, that went down this bike path, an area that, of course, people are running, they're biking, they're active at this time of day in New York City. All of these things adding up do, obviously raise some red flags, and investigators immediately, that is one of the questions that they're going to try to answer, is this terrorism related? So that's really just, a confirmation that that's something they're looking into, but no confirmation yet if this was actually a terrorism incident, Jake. You're
looking at live images right now from WCBS, a CNN affiliate, in Manhattan, where NYPD officers tell CNN that somebody driving a white truck, it appears to be some sort of rental van, rental truck, drove the truck the wrong way on a bike path right next to the West Side Highway. There are fatalities, the NYPD is telling CNN. The driver then got out of the truck and has been apprehended. He may have had a gun. He is in police custody right now. He is, we are told, alive. Again, I would caution all viewers, all listeners, this is a breaking news situation. We just learned of this about half an hour ago. A lot of times in incidents like this, a lot of the information that authorities have that they share with us turns out not to be completely accurate. They are doing the best they can, and we are sharing with you what we are getting from law enforcement and other authorities. I want to bring in CNN law enforcement analyst James Gagliano. He's on the phone. He's a retired FBI supervisory special agent. First of all, James, thanks for joining us. Tell us about this area of Manhattan.
So, Jake, I come at this two ways. One, I spend about 20 years of my 25-year FBI career stationed down in the lower Manhattan office at 26 Federal Plaza. The streets that we're talking about here, so we're talking about West Street and Chambers, are right outside the office, and that's the route where people in lower Manhattan generally head out when they're going to head north on the West Side Highway, which was my commute home. At this time of the year, where the weather's still nice, there's going to be a heavy pedestrian population that are going to be out on foot. We know that the city has done a great job of expanding the biking lanes, so a lot of these major thoroughfares, especially on the avenues, have these bike paths on it. And to your point earlier, we want to be careful about what we say this was with the limited information we have. But from the FBI perspective, from the law enforcement perspective, we always assume the worst. We assume that it's a terrorist act, and then we work backwards. So right now, as the police are trying to get more information on what they have, it looks like it was just one suspect or one subject. That person is in custody. The first thing the police put out, which is responsible, is that they're not apparently looking for anyone else. That obviously quells people being disconcerted about whether or not there's somebody else on the move. The fact that there was a weapon involved, and the fact that a lot of the bystanders there did exactly what we teach them in these situations, which is run if you can, hide, fight, and then tell. And a lot of these folks scattered, and then they came back and they're sharing information with the New York City Police Department. And Jake, I can tell you, having worked with them for 2 decades, finest police department in the world. There's 35,000 of them, and unfortunately, as you pointed out, this is the new normal. When you can't attack hardened targets, if that's what this is, you go after softer targets, and that's what this appears at the outset to be.
Right, although very early, as you cautioned,
Yes.
as I said earlier. We heard Allison Kozik, who was not right on the scene, but close enough, and she was getting pushed back by police. Obviously, they are trying to secure the crime scene. What does law enforcement do now? What are they going to be doing in these beginning stages?
Sure. Well, initially, the first thing you want to do is you want to prevent any more injuries, death, destruction of property. And it appears that the police responded very quickly and able to put the gunman down very quickly. So that's number one. Then number two, you want to build out in concentric circles basically the crime scene area. So you want anything trampled. You don't want to lose or miss any evidence or the harvesting of that evidence that might be critical to a prosecution down the road, as well as determining whether or not this was a conspiracy or, as we've pointed out, and there was conjecture before, just one single person or a road rage incident. All of those things are critical, and you can only do that by collecting the evidence, which is going to be human intelligence, talking to people that were on scene and saw it, as well as harvesting the video footage from the cameras. We know that Manhattan is one of the most heavily photographed areas in the world. There are cameras almost on every street corner, and then basically collecting all that information together and trying to piece together this puzzle.
James, stay with us. I want to bring in CNN's Shimon Prokupecz right now. And you have some breaking news, Shimon. What is it?
Yeah, that's right, Jake. What we're hearing, I'm hearing from two senior law enforcement officials who are on scene there in Manhattan. They're telling me that they've been told, and there is a briefing that's ongoing now, that up to 6 people are now dead. This is, again, very preliminary as they're still working through all the injuries. Now, my understanding, Jake, from what I'm being told, is that this vehicle drove from Houston Street in Lower Manhattan to Chambers Street. Now, for anyone who knows Manhattan, that's probably up to 20 blocks, if not longer, along this bike path. So clearly, that is leading investigators to believe that this was a deliberate act. The person, it seems, the driver, who's now, I'm told, in custody, seems like he got on the bike path at Houston Street and drove downtown towards Chambers Street, striking bicyclists, other pedestrians who were on that path, which is, investigators now believe there are perhaps as many as 6 dead.
What a horrific thing. Just if you're joining us right now, you're looking at pictures from WCBS, a CNN affiliate in Manhattan. There's been a horrible incident. We just heard from Shimon Prokupecz, who said that 2 law enforcement officials on the scene, getting information right now, and everybody needs to understand, and Shimon cautioned, I cautioned, Gagliano cautioned, all this information is preliminary. All this information is the law enforcement officials telling us what they are hearing right now, and it could change. But we are being told, or Shimon is being told, that up to 6 people have been killed in this incident where somebody was driving a van or a truck of some sort on a bike path, just taking down cyclists and runners and pedestrians in Manhattan. CNN law enforcement analyst Art Roderick joins me now. Art, formerly with the U.S. Marshal Service. Art, when you hear a vehicle was going down a bike path, killing cyclists and pedestrians, what goes through your mind?
Well, especially based on